Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed participants, I welcome you all to the 23rd edition of the World Sustainable Development Summit. I, Ariba Usmani, will be your MC for this session. I would like to thank everyone for being a part of this event and gracing it with your presence in both person and in virtual mode. Forests play a critical role in providing essential ecosystem services and sustaining the livelihoods of over 300 million people. The REDD+ mechanism emerges as a key player in safeguarding these ecosystems, addressing anthropogenic pressures, and contributing to the global emission reduction. Given India's diverse climate and ecosystem profiles, we recognize the necessity of subnational approach, allowing for a more nuanced understanding of local conditions. Our key focus areas for today's session include implementation of subnational REDD+ as a platform to scale up carbon finance, advocate for policy enhancement, and foster international cooperation to mainstream carbon. We will also delve into the roles and challenges faced by the subnational government in implementation of REDD+. Today, we have an esteemed line of speakers who are all experts and great leaders in their respective fields for this session, and on approach for operationalizing subnational REDD+ in India. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to our panelists for this session. Our chairperson for today's session, Dr. Jagdish Kishwan, Asia Pacific Regional Coordinator, Coalition for Rainforest Nation. Dr. Kishwan is an internationally acclaimed climate change and forestry specialist. A former member of Indian Forest Services, he held many distinguished assignments, including head of Indian Council of Forestry and Education and research chancellor for Forest Research and Institute University. He played a pivotal figure in the transformative shift from REDD to REDD+ at Bali COP in 2007. His expertise is invaluable in advocating for the effective implementation for UNFCCC REDD+ strategies across Asia-Pacific region. Next, we have Shri Shailesh Themburnikar, 1987 batch officer of Indian Forest Services, presently serving as PCCF and HOF, Maharashtra State. Prior to this, Shri Themburnikar has held important assignments such as Chief Executive Officer of Maharashtra State Campa, Regional Director of Forest Development Corporation of Maharashtra. Sir has coordinated important projects such as World Bank aided Maharashtra forestry projects and bagged many awards for his contribution in field of forestry and wildlife conservation. Next, we have Dr. Jagmohan Sharma. Sir has joined us virtually. Sir is 1990 batch Indian Forest Service officer, currently serving as director at Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy. Sir has garnered numerous awards, including gold medal for his PhD thesis and the Elizabeth Sinclair Irwin Prize for the University of Edinburgh. Next, we have Mr. Varghese Paul. With a master's degree in forestry, Mr. Varghese Paul has over 25 years of experience in environment and natural resource management. He is currently Deputy Director for Environment and USID. At USID, he oversees projects related to forestry, biodiversity, air pollution, sanitation, and hygiene. Next, we have Mr. Kundan Barwal, Senior Advisor, Climate Change, GIZ India. He is climate change, mitigation policy, and carbon market expert with more than 12 years of experience and a comprehensive knowledge on development, implementation, evaluation of projects on climate change, carbon market, and forestry. He has authored and led development of internationally approved REDD+ methodology and several clean development mechanism projects in various sectors. Next up, we have Dr. Jitendra Veer Sharma, IFS retired Program Director, Land Resources Division, TERI. With 40 years of experience, Dr. Sharma's expertise in sustainable development, biodiversity conservation, and climate change mitigation is unparalleled. His impact work at TERI includes leading projects on climate financing, forest ecosystem valuation, and governance reforms. As a key negotiator for the Government of India at United Nations, Dr. Sharma's global contribution to forest policy are remarkable. On behalf of TERI and WSTM, I would like to express my gratitude to all the esteemed speakers for gracing us with their presence. To begin with the session, I would like to welcome Mr. Anirudh Soni, who will be introducing us to the theme of today's session. With a keen understanding of the subject matter, Mr. Soni's presentation will set the stage for insightful deliberations. Sir, the stage is yours.
show the presentation. Okay, thanks Ariba. Good morning all of you, and thank you so much for coming and joining us for this very crucial discussion. My name is Anirudh and I am working as an Associate Fellow in Center for Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services in Land Resources Division, TERI. Today we have to discuss a very important topic, which is REDD+. Probably one of the most promising incentive mechanism to incentivize the communities, the departments who are protecting the forest, conserving the forest, and at the same time doing the enhancement. Now, it's very important because it can solve a wide array of problems. Climate change and mitigation being one of the key problems. It can also deal with the biodiversity conservation, and it can play a crucial role in improving the socio-economic status of the FDCs. Coming on to the context of Indian forests, we don't have to explain how vast it is, how glorifying the forest is. 23% of the area is under forest, and we have diverse ecosystems ranging from dry deciduous forest, we have desert ecosystems, but we also have the evergreen forest at the same time. So a lot of effort has been put up by the forest department in conserving this forest, and the strong local institutions on the ground like the eco development committees, JFMCs, also play a crucial role in conserving these forests. But at the same time, it is our responsibility that they also get the benefit of it, and that is why REDD+ mechanism can be play a crucial role. Coming on to the what is the status currently? So approximately 400 million REDD+ credits have been issued till date in the voluntary space. But when it comes to India, we only have one project where less than 1 million credits have been issued, and that too in Khasi Meghalaya, and since 2011. So definitely there is some kind of a gap. Where are we lacking on this? So in my presentation, I would just highlight a few key points which can maybe help in guiding the event. First off is what is India's stand on REDD+? India played a pivotal role in adding plus component to the REDD. So what is the current status now? This could be one of the key discussion points. Next point would be, are we addressing the right problem? Because unlike South America, unlike Southeast Asia, India does not have a deforestation problem by and large. We majorly have a degradation problem. But when it comes to the existing methodologies, the degradation part is often missed. The plus component is missed at all levels. So how best can we address the degradation problem? Next up, can a baseline which was submitted by India to the UNFCCC, a single baseline figure, is it doing the justice to the cause? As we have already discussed that the forest range from dry forest to evergreen forest, but having one baseline, is it justifiable? We can have a discussion on this. Another point is, can state level subnational REDD+ projects be a solution to this problem? And what can be the approach for these? Another point would be voluntary carbon space. How can we harness the voluntary carbon space in this arena? There are three major points when it comes, which is investment, time, and quick returns. Investments, because forest department have to do a lot of funding. There is always a paucity of funds, and any of these interventions requires a lot of funds. So how can this funding problem be solved? REDD+ projects takes a lot of time, but when we implement the project and when the private players are willing to invest in these projects, they are also looking for returns. At the same time, the community who is willing to do these changes, they also look for returns. So if we tell them that you start conserving forest today and maybe after 10 years of time we will give you credits and incentivize you for them, maybe they might not be interested. So that is why time is a very crucial component. And quick returns, we have already discussed that. Finally, coming on to subnational REDD+, what is the roadmap and how long will it take? What is the approach, and how, for a country like India, how can we get the wheel moving? So today in our panel, we have experts, probably one of the best experts from the country. We have negotiators, we have representatives from the state, we have representatives from the most premium institutes in India, We have project developers and also multilateral organizations. So therefore, sir, Kishwan sir, I hand over the discussion to you. Thank you very much.
Is it okay now? Yeah. Thank you very much, Anirudh, for giving that brief, in the beginning of this panel discussion. And I see a lot of my colleagues also here from the forestry sector. I see Devendra Pandey, Kant also is there, and other colleagues, of course, from TERI. Gokhale was in the ministry also, and many others. I recognize the faces, but forgetting the names, that happens as the age advances. Now, it's a very interesting subject. When we discuss REDD Plus, and we discuss it in with relation to the voluntary carbon market projects. We call them VM projects, voluntary market projects. Now, it has been a little bit of a setback that India, about a decade ago, was in the driving seat as far as the evolution of REDD Plus is concerned. But we really have not moved, with the same acceleration. And presently, in fact, amongst all the developing countries, we are not where we were supposed to be, and we still are struggling with sending our first technical annex. I hope that you understand what the technical annex is, that any country which opts for going for REDD Plus implementation of the UNFCCC will have to submit its performance with reference to the forest reference level that it has already submitted. And India, as most of us may be knowing, that we submitted our forest reference level in 2018. It's almost more than 5 years now. And we could have gone for making the first technical annex in 2019 or 2020. It wasn't difficult because the Forest Survey of India, who in fact Dr. Pandey was also leading for some time, it was not difficult. They could have made the technical annex and saying as to how much we have advanced over the forest reference level, but somehow it was not prepared. Now the problem is that we in fact have lost the financial incentives which could have come to us for our performance in the forest sector in the REDD Plus. Now, in the meanwhile, this space, which was left by the government sector, was occupied the project developers, and in fact, they used the name of REDD Plus at the project level because many terminologies came which were not, in fact, recognized by the UNFCCC, like jurisdictional REDD Plus projects, or some community name REDD Plus project. Because REDD Plus is not implemented at the project level, it is implemented at the national level. But I would say that still, these projects which were implemented in, say, Northeast India, or even by the US aid, in shape of Forest Plus, and GISD also, has gone for some projects. These have given at least an understanding of as to what REDD Plus is, what the intricacies are, and how can we move. How can we move, go upscale, and at least, if we are not able to move to the national level, at least, can we cover one state so that this permanent problem of leakages, which is associated with any project level approach, is eliminated. Now, with this little bit of background, we have here, as Anirudh said, very distinguished panel of experts. And I am very happy that we have Shailesh, he is the head of the forest force in Maharashtra, and I was in fact requesting him that maybe it could be the first state to go for the subnational approach. And this subnational approach, why it's important, that if you are not able to make a technical annex at the national level, at least the states which are much ahead and they want to get some incentives for their good work in forestry, like the Himalayan states, because they have been adding forest carbon stocks over their previous forest reference level. so they could get incentivized. And in fact, when we talk to them, they say that yes, we are ready to do, but they really cannot do it unless they are supported by the Government of India, because Government of India has opted for the national level approach. But for the interim, it could have also gone for the sub-national state level approach also, and for that, no, it has to make a request to the Climate Change Convention, the Secretariat, and every country is sovereign, they will never say no to it. And once it is done, then you can always have this national level approach. So, Shailesh, I will be starting with you, because the experience that you have had in Campa also,
Yes.
heading the Campa of the state, is there a possibility that you really can upscale from the learnings that you have at the project level, and you can take it to the state level and get some incentives for the communities which are working for the conservation of forest, for the betterment of forest, and also the forest department also? And is there a possibility that if you start getting these incentives, of course with the blessings of the Government of India and the UNFCCC, how will you be able to share these incentives amongst these local communities and other stakeholders, including the Maharashtra state government? Over to you, Shailesh.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Good morning to all the dignitaries present over here. As already highlighted by Honorable Kishwan sir, that there is lot of potential in REDD Plus project. So first of all, I would like to share the experience. Actually, the REDD Plus project is yet to see the light in the state of Maharashtra, except the one project which is ongoing in the Pench National Park. And actually, in the last 4 to 5 years, we had held lot of workshops regarding the carbon assessment in the state in collaboration with TERI, and the lot of interest was evinced at the government level in the bureaucracy regarding the carbon trade, carbon finance, and the REDD Plus projects. Actually, lot of agencies, they have contacted the government. Even our deputy CM has also intervened. He has given us a letter that the REDD Plus and ARR projects should be designed, and there are a lot many players who are approaching the state forest department for preparation of projects and participating in the voluntary carbon market. Just 3 years back, TERI has given us a proposal for REDD Plus project, a carbon finance project in the CFR areas of the state. The total forest area in the Maharashtra is around 61,931 square kilometers. It is almost 20% of the landmass is under forest cover. And so far as the CFR and IFR area is concerned, it is, I would say, it is highest in the country. Almost 12 lakh hectares of area is assigned under CFR. So these community forest reserves, they are protecting. We have entered into an agreement with them. We have assigned the areas to them for management. So through their interventions, it was proposed to prepare a project for REDD Plus and participate in the voluntary carbon market. And whatever gains or whatever benefits that the carbon finance project would accrue would be passed on to the local communities. So that was proposed. That project was shared to the government. But since there were lot many players approaching us, so the government decided that let us float a expression of interest. So expression of interest was floated. Again, it was withdrawn because of some reasons. And now we are floating a RFP soon. So we'll be inviting proposals from the various agencies who are expert in preparation of carbon projects, and so that the state can participate in the carbon finance project. So that is the latest. So the government of Maharashtra is into its very immense keen interest in preparation of REDD Plus project and participation in the voluntary carbon market. And many of these agencies, they have approached us. I have gone through the presentations of most of these agencies, but many agencies are startups, and they are offering variable rates. For example, one agency is offering $6 per CR. Some are offering 7. Some are saying that $20. So there is lot of variabilities there. So the government wants to know that what should be the benchmark, the realistic, since there are a lot of competition and variable rates are being offered by various agencies. So that needs to be thought of it, because when the projects are submitted to the finance department, so they would analyze it and evaluate as to why there is so much of variability. So that is the first thing I just wanted to flag. So far as the RED Plus projects are concerned, that all the forests are doing the job of carbon sequestration, but whatever existing forests are doing, that is being treated as business as usual. And we have to calculate the additionality. Now we have to find out the additionality within the system boundaries. I just wanted to flag that the government of India is investing more than 15,000 crores for this forest management. And what this forest management is doing, if you see the budget, annual budget of all the forest department in the country, it is more than 15,000 crores. Now all the forest departments, what they are doing is they are doing silvicultural management of forest, fire protection, soil and moisture conservation, protection activity, reducing the dependence of people on the forest resource. So all these activities lead to reduction in carbon emission, and it leads to carbon sequestration. Now you have to quantify and assess the extent of carbon dioxide sequestered by way of these interventions. Now there is no methodology, no tools are existing as on today as to quantify and assess the carbon dioxide equivalent which is being sequestered by way of these interventions. So these methodologies need to be devised, and the quantification and the mathematical modeling based on GIS and artificial intelligence technique can be developed. So the first thing is that we should have a clear-cut tools and methodology to assess and to quantify the carbon dioxide equivalent that is being sequestered by way of these interventions, wherein we are investing almost 15,000 crores of rupees. It is just conservation measures. So through these intervention, lot of carbon dioxide is being sequestered. So that assessment needs to be done, and that is the potential. That is how we can prove the additionality. So what is the additional within the system boundaries? So that additionality can be arrived at by devising various tools and techniques and methodologies and quantification technique, so that the exact amount of carbon dioxide sequestered can be assessed. The second thing is that the baseline data needs to be defined. Now recently I have attended a workshop which was hosted by Vera, where they have declared that they will be giving us the baseline. So that is another approach. The industry itself will be providing us the baseline data. Based on that, we have to move ahead. The third thing is that there is no uniformity in the methodologies given by various registries at global level. Vera has got its own methodology, PlanView has got its own methodology. So what I propose is that the IPCC should that there should be a uniform code or sort of a framework should be given to all the registries. Based on that, they should devise the methodologies. There is lot of variability in the methodologies. If you adopt a particular methodology, then the carbon dioxide sequestered will be say X amount. Then if you adopt another methodology, it will be Y, and there is lot of difference. So that difference needs to be addressed to. So ultimately, the IPCC should intervene. That is what I feel. And at the national level, the government of India, MOCCF should also intervene so that the uniform methodologies can be devised based on certain criteria. So that is what is my recommendation. The third thing is that if you see the greenhouse gases, 64% of the greenhouse gases is nothing but carbon dioxide. And now the carbon trade we are thinking of, we all think of this 64% only, this carbon dioxide sequestration and all. What about the remaining 36%? Nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, methane. So some few years back I had contacted this Indian Council of Forestry Research. They have given a list of trees which absorb sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, methane, methyl isocyanate in a better way. They are efficient. So you will have to identify certain species which are more capable of absorbing these flue gases from the greenhouse gases, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and the quantification is needed to be done. Now the all foresters, we speak in qualitative terms, but now it is the time to speak in quantitative terms, because lot of AI tools and quantification techniques and mathematical modelings are, they are all available. So that area can also be addressed, so that we can plant those particular species of trees in the industrial area, and the sequestration of nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide can also be addressed too. Then the third thing I just wanted to flag is that we all are aware that there was the industrial revolution in 1784, and first industrial revolution where the steam engines were used. Then the second industrial revolution, electric power was used. Third was IT technology. Now the fourth is in the offing, where the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence and all these things are happening. So there is increasing population, there is increasing pressure on the use of natural resources, and we have harvested lot of fossil fuels. Ultimate result is pollution, increasing global warming and climate change. Now, prior to industrial revolution, all these cycles, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, water cycle, they were in equilibrium. What do we mean by they were in equilibrium? Because all these ecosystems, they have got auto-cleansing or self-healing capabilities. They can accept a particular load of pollution. For example, in case of river, you are aware about the BOD and COD, right? So particular level of pollutants can be accepted by a river, and through auto-cleansing and self-healing methodologies or capabilities of that particular natural resource, it can self-auto-cleanse it, right? But beyond that, if you load that particular ecosystem with the pollutants, then it is not possible. So we have to compose what is the self-healing or the auto-cleansing capabilities of each of these ecosystems. Then beyond which the another method is that we can reduce the pollution, but this self-healing, these capabilities of this ecosystem needs to be harnessed. So that is. Then lastly, I would like to say that this is a new topic, and even in the working plan code now it has been included that the carbon assessment has to be done in all the divisions in the state, in the country. In such a scenario, we have to build the capacity of the staff as to how the carbon assessment should be done. There are 5 pools of carbon, and how the assessment should be done. So there has to be a massive capacity building programs to be implemented throughout the country, so that we can educate and train the personnel for the assessment of carbon. So these are the few things which has occurred to my mind right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Salish, for giving that overview of the projects that you have had in your state. You spoke, just a brief observation here. You spoke that methodologies, are still not there, whereby you could assess the growth in the forest carbon stocks of the forest area. But let me tell you that the Forest Survey of India has been doing it for last so many years, and they have been doing it at the national level. And I am very confident that after submitting their forest reference level in 2018, in 1 or 2 years, they could have come out with a performance report also as to how much has been added over that reference level, because that is business as usual. And whatever gets over that is the additionality, is the performance. And this can be done, they do it for the states also. And that is why there is need that all the states, they should be getting in touch with the Forest Survey of India. I know that it's going to be a huge task for the Forest Survey but there is an option available in our own country, and the methodology is accepted by the UNFCCC. They already have accepted the forest reference level, which they submitted in 2018, 49.70 MT CO2 equivalent. It is accepted. So you really don't have to look towards the IPCC. We should have to look within our country, and the technology, the methodology which is acceptable by the UNFCCC is available with us. And I would advise, all those who are here, because FSI, really does not work at the project level. They will work at a bigger level. At least state level, they cover, because they give when they give the forest carbon stocks, they have the capability to divide it into the states, as to how much carbon stocks are there in one state, and it is possible. So with that, I see Jagmohan also there. I don't know whether he is able to see us or not. Dr. Jagmohan, has been a very brilliant forest officer who has in fact worked under great man of Indian Institute of Science, who is also a REDD Plus expert, and he did his PhD under him. He will of course tell you who the person I am just hinting at. Dr. Jagmohan, very welcome to you. I hope you are able to hear me, and you are able to have a look at the people who are here. So Jagmohan, my request to you will be that when I meet forest officers in meetings like this or otherwise, they sometimes say that they are not aware of this whole business of REDD Plus, and they know about some kind of projects which are called REDD Plus, but they really are not aware of the UNFCCC REDD Plus, which now we say Paris Agreement Article 5.2 REDD Plus. So I only request you that is it possible for the IGNFA? Is it possible for the IGNFA, because you have the IFS professionals who get their basic training in your organization, and plus you keep on having interaction with the IFS officers. If you could please tell them as to what the REDD Plus is all about, so that the awareness about the REDD Plus it goes to the states, goes to the forest officers, and then they are able to understand how they have to go about the REDD Plus, and then maybe in later stages you can build, you can help them in capacity building also. So Dr. Jagmohan, very nice seeing you here, and over to you, and please share your thoughts on this REDD Plus implementation in India. Over to you, Dr. Jagmohan.
Thank you so much, sir. And it's an absolute privilege to be on this panel today, which is trying to deal with a very important subject, which took birth almost 2 decades ago. And the global community, as well as we within India, are trying to organize things, strategize, put together the documentation that has been necessary, say the national strategy, the safeguards information system, the forest reference levels, and we do have something to look at today. And my concern is, I'm sorry, I greet all the panelists, esteemed panelists who are there, and this is the occasion, I think, when we need to enhance the discourse on REDD Plus, which appears to be, as Dr. Keshwan was also suggesting, that the acquaintance awareness itself in this regard at different levels is very different. And I'll come back to as to what in the Forest Academy, how we are looking at this, and what efforts we are making in order that the domain area knowledge, the acquaintance, and the comfort to deal and talk about the REDD Plus and the mechanisms that are in the REDD Plus in a more effective manner. The point precisely is that when we reflect on the progress that we could make at subnational level, my focus is subnational level, and then unfortunately we find the engagement, if we are limiting ourselves to forestry sector and the formalized part of it, and not the non-governmental organizations and the other stakeholders that have an important role to play in the whole REDD Plus scenario and promoting it. for the objective of mitigation of climate change, we find that the engagement has been inadequate. And there are several reasons for such lack of engagement that has not built, despite some projects, the pilots. One actual project we always count about Meghalaya, and then the Forest Plus initiatives that were undertaken in 4 states in the country, in landscapes, which included one landscape from Karnataka, in order to understand as to what are the gaps and the needs through which department can address this issue, and forestry can really become a very useful and effective part of REDD Plus in this country. We find that perhaps at national level, if the compulsion is to talk in terms of additionality, then there is a need to decouple from that level when we talk about subnational levels, because you have now the national carbon market, you have the green credit initiative of Government of India, and if we think as to last 20 years, despite these developments, why it is so that the state forest departments have not been able to engage themselves adequately in this process. And then perhaps we find a need for simplification, and among them, particularly decoupling from the international level, where additionality is an important point. Because we must remember that the portion of plus in the REDD Plus has come because this country had the tradition of conservation and conservation in routine. But it seems there was a need to reward it routine in this case, because if you do not follow that routine, there is deforestation happening, there is degradation happening, and that aggravates the emissions. So it appears, even if there is no additionality and we are able to maintain the routine itself, even that needs to be rewards, and that is inbuilt in the plus component, I would think. If this has not been possible at the international level, then at subnational level, when countries are thinking of having their own internal markets, including carbon markets, and now Government of India thinks about green credit markets, then one can certainly think that the conservation that happens, say, even through VFC mechanisms that we have, could be eligible for the credits, because it seems the whole exercise is that how do you incentivize conservation of the carbon that is already sequestered, or incentivize enhancement of such pools? How do you incentivize people to not to indulge in deforestation process, or how do you deal with the factors that lead to degradation? So there is an acute need, I would say, to decouple from that regime to putting in place the fresh regime that makes more sense and is more understandable to the forestry departments in this country, and perhaps finds synergy with what we have initiated in this country as people's movement, the village forest committees, and other ground level institutions that we have. And when we do that, as we have defined our own mechanisms for green credit generation, we can have our own mechanisms and methodologies even to define as to how do we reward the enhancement of stocks or preservation of stocks under a REDD Plus regime. So country can perhaps have its own model that would be easier to implement, which forestry departments will own and would be able to do, because the institutional mechanism is already available. Through VFCs, we are already sharing benefits. We are creating assets and sharing those assets with everyone who matters on the ground. So decoupling is what I'm focusing. And in the academy, as I've been asked by my respected senior colleague, Dr. Kishwan, and I'm so happy to be on the panel with him today. In the academy, we have very definite intention to hand over the concept, hand over the approach, count the challenges, and make them think as to what mechanisms in our conditions could be worthwhile pursuing. So I think those are my initial thoughts based on what submissions have been made by my other panelists today. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jagmohan. And you brought out, Jagmohan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So the point that you brought out, that it's not only additionality, but also the conservation of the existing forest carbon stocks also should be rewarded. In fact, that was the intention when this REDD Plus was getting evolved, but somehow it lost its track, and it never came in the final, because they were always treating with the forest carbon flows, and not with the stocks. So they said, no, whatever is there, please don't ask any incentive for that, but what you do over and above that will incentivize you. But again, as you said, it really does not leave any country not to decide on its own that they will be rewarding their communities or the departments or the stakeholders for conservation of the existing forest carbon stocks, which are, of course, every 2 years, these are measured by the Forest Survey of India. They come out with the reports. So that possibility is there. But let me also tell you that there are some countries, some rainforest nations, which are saying that if you don't incentivize us for keeping these forests intact, we'll cut these forests, and we'll send, this all of this CO2, up in the atmosphere, and that will make you never to achieve your Paris Agreement temperature goals. So they are in fact also trying to negotiate in a different way, that the developed countries or the global community should incentivize them for keeping the existing forests intact, even if they are not adding any forest carbon stocks. So that's a very good point, and I do believe that here, at least in India, the Finance Commission, which gives this reward every 5 years, the basic philosophy is this only, that if the forests are being conserved, let the states get rewarded according to the proportion of the forest area or the forest stocks that they have. But it really is not 100% true as to what you have said. But there is somebody who is taking care of that in India. But let it be done on a more logical and on a very methodological basis. So thank you, Jagmohan. We'll certainly come back to you. But next I have my old colleague Varghese Paul. He has been working in USC.
I want to react to 2 points.
Okay. Yeah, okay, you can do this. Paul, I'll come back to you.
I just wanted to flag, this is regarding green credit. Recently, the rules have been promulgated by Government of India, wherein it is clearly mentioned that this green credit is not carbon credit. That clause is already there. So we have to separate. These are the two different things, green credit and carbon credit. Secondly, as flagged by Kishwan sir, that Survey of India does the assessment of carbon stocks in the country, in the various states. But when you want to participate in the voluntary carbon market, when you want to register a project with the international registry like VERA, you have to follow their methodology. So that is why I have appealed that there has to be uniformity and certain criteria and framework should be decided by IPCC. Thank you, sir.
Salish, very good point, but again, it brings us back to the same debate, because we really want to move up from the project level approach. And if you are aware, this VERA came for a very severe criticism for the forestry projection, which they were calling as REDD Plus projects all over the globe. And the scientific made were hot air. Environmental integrity was not maintained, and 90% of their projects were not what they were claiming to be. And that was the reason that their CEO had to resign. I am very sure, because I have been dealing with this at the project level, they will never be able to address this problem of leakage, and this will keep on happening. And the methodology which they have made so far, these were not really very good methodologies, and they were faulty because they were taking the reference level outside the project area. And in some areas where the degradation and deforestation was going at a very rapid pace, so that they could get a good difference when they are saving a small area. And they in fact went to the extent of, I'll give you time, but
Yeah.
we'll come back again. They went to the extent of having the reference area in a different country also. So, I mean, these are the loopholes which have been there, and we have to be, I mean, the experience tells us that it's better, that you concentrate in one country, and if not, for the interim, you go to a lower administrative unit, for example, a state. And if it's a small country which wants to go for this, it could go to the district level or counties level, as subnational. But for our country, which has opted for national approach, the best subnational is the state level. It has got a good jurisdiction. And so, projects have their own problems, and this national level or jurisdiction or subnational approach solves that problem. So, I'm coming to you, Varghese, and
Before you ask your question,
I'm not asking any question.
No. I have a comment on that about the subnational.
Okay, so you do that, but I'll tell you that what you should be covering also with your experience, because he's an old colleague and has been working in USAID for good number of years. And I do believe when I was with the government of India, we were working on a forest plus project of the USAID. I don't know whether it is still there or it has completed its tenure. But they were trying to build the capacity of the states and the local communities so that they could in due course of time move towards the real REDD plus implementation. That is what my feel is of that time. But he'll share his thoughts more on what this forest plus project of the USAID has achieved, and also you can add whatever you want to react to that we are discussing. So over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Dr. Keshwan. My fellow panelists, distinguished members. First of all, thank you, TERI, for inviting me for this very important workshop. Now, I'll start with the Forest Plus. This Forest Plus, the purpose of Forest Plus program was to strengthen capacity for REDD Plus implementation in India. That we started this project in 2012. It was a very bad time to start any carbon credit or REDD Plus projects, because we had very bad experience with the CDM. The people, the forest department were very skeptical if anything about forest carbon would work. We really had to do a lot of to and fro dialogue with the forest department to tell that this is something good for the nature. Even if you don't get carbon credit, improved forest management is good common sense. So we started working with them. Still, they were not very convinced. So what we realized, somebody also mentioned about the lack of awareness about REDD Plus. So the first thing we need to do was include, I know Dr. Jack Mohan is laughing, including even in Karnataka, we had to do a lot of awareness raising. First we did was a lot of capacity building activities to raise about what is climate change, what is forestry, how climate change and forestry links, then talked about REDD Plus and everything. Then we slowly moved into carbon inventory, how it can be done, even at the community level. Then we worked with the forest department, developed modules for that. And after that, what we have done is we have worked in 4 states, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and Karnataka. And Himachal Pradesh said, based on their previous experience, we don't want any REDD Plus project to be developed because they had a very bad experience with the CDM project. But in Madhya Pradesh, we looked at developing a REDD Plus project at a district level, and we developed a forest reference emission level at the district level, developed a benefit sharing mechanism at the district level, and also looked at the drivers of forest degradation and means of achieving that, which is all REDD Plus is all about. In Karnataka, we developed a similar approach, but looking at a circle. And in Sikkim, we developed a jurisdictional project which covered the entire jurisdiction of Sikkim. And that's that's where the Forest Plus. And to answer your question, sir, now there is a third iteration of Forest Plus, which is known as the Forest Plus 3.0. In transitioning from Forest Plus 1 to 2.0, we have changed our approach. We said improving forest management. We focused on preparing forest management plans or working plans. So it also addresses one of the questions you asked. So we have developed a geospatial solution known as the One App, which has got a mobile app as well as a computer system where one can do the analysis. This mobile app helps collect the inventory data, not just the inventory data, but the ecosystem services data also by the forest department staff. And with the click of a button, you can have the inventory analysis and even the carbon analysis. So we have helped develop forest working plans or management plans for around 81 forest divisions so far, covering around 4 million hectares. And along with MOEFCC, we plan to scale up the use of this one system. And other things when it comes relating to REDD Plus or carbon credits as such, we have developed also decision support tool for forest department officials, others to select species, indigenous species suitable for afforestation. In Kerala, for instance, they had a program for replacing exotics with indigenous species. So we specifically developed this tool for selecting appropriate species. And in Telangana, we developed a tool, similar tool for farmers to select appropriate agroforestry species. So this is what Forest Plus 2 has done. Now the 3.0 looks at scaling up these technologies all across India. I know GAZ also is doing similar work. And now I want to look at a few other points. I think a lot of speakers, including Dr. Jackmohan, talked about incentivizing communities. For me, REDD Plus or any carbon credit mechanism would only work if we can make the value of a standing forest in terms of monetary value much more than the value of a felled or cut forest when the forests are cut. That's the time it will appeal to the communities. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of degradation, deforestation happening. So, and REDD Plus credits or carbon credits are not sufficient for doing that. We need to do a lot of livelihood strengthening activities based on the forestry sector, be based on other sectors. And other thing one can look at is not just the carbon credit. Let's look at incentivizing communities through payment of ecosystem services or other things. That would be a better way of doing that rather than just focusing on carbon credits. And if you look at the international negotiations, especially in the biodiversity, it's not a regulated market. The people are now talking about biodiversity credit. It's again like the green credit, it's an voluntary action. If there are these are results-based payments, communities or departments can come together. They can say, by this amount of time, X amount of biodiversity, species, ekosystem would be improved. But here again, the challenge is monitoring. How would you monitor that? Monitoring carbon. The Kishwan said it's there are methodologies available, but still it is very challenging. Then how would you monitor biodiversity? But having said that, with the improvement technologies, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, which talked about coming, I think monitoring is not going to be a challenge in the future. It might be a challenge now, but it might not be a challenge in the future. And though it is not in the regulatory market, it's in the voluntary market, but as a country, we should be preparing to take advantage of what's happening at the global level. Otherwise, like what happened in the REDD Plus space, we would lag behind. Of course, there were some initiatives taken, but after that, because of lack of initiatives, we are lagging behind in the REDD Plus space in India. Then I'll speak about another thing which you talked about, the subnational one, and you mentioned about the project level. How about a nested initiative, jurisdictional nested REDD Plus project, where the baseline is for the entire jurisdiction, but you can apportion the baseline or develop new baselines to the projects, and also the credits which you would be getting would be proportionate to the overall jurisdiction. I think Vera has, I know there are a lot of criticism about Vera, but they've come up with this innovative methodology recently, and probably they also say it addresses some of the concerns of hot air which they had in their previous methodologies. So I would end by that. And one more point, if I think USAID is here and GA is also is here. So I can speak about USAID. So if any state want to promote PES or RED Plus or any carbon mechanism, USAID through the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change is willing to engage. I got a few other points, but maybe I'll come in the second round. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Paul, for sharing the experiences that you had with Forest Plus 1.0 and 2.0. That's what you said?
Yeah, now there is a 3.0.
Now 3.2. Yeah, I should not call it 3.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's very good, and the learnings that you have had from 1 and version 2 of Forest Plus, I do believe that you'll make this Forest Plus version 3 much better than what the other two versions were. And your point, what you said about rewards for conservation, rewarding the local communities through PES, also taking into consideration the biodiversity. I mean, these are the key points, and one should not lose sight of these elements. But at the same time, I would request you, because you are going to be the nodal point for this development of Forest Plus 3.0, please select some small state. You can be in touch with the whatever state you feel is the best one. You can be in coordination with the GIZ also, if there is any other option with TERI also. And please, upscale your efforts to a small state level and take all these factors into account, the PES, the biodiversity enhancement conservation, and also what the UNFCCC REDD Plus is. So money coming from different sources for different efforts, is always welcome. Local communities will always, like it, because as you said, carbon money is not sufficient to sustain their interest. So you can make, I would say that I'm saying it's subnational. You can always say it is subnational state level project or Forest Plus 3. Please do make it, and I do believe that it will be a learning for all others, and other states will also come. JV, I think now you are, no, before JV, no, I have Kunna. I don't know, you have kept yourself at the last, being the host.
Myself at the last.
Yeah.
So I have to, then I will speak little.
No, I'll give you time, because see, all the people are interested, and I'm told that we have plenty of time. But again, Kundan, coming to you, and as you have also had experience of working in different states also, so I would also say that as they are going to have version 3, you should also upgrade your version and at least to have one state, small state, and use your experience of working earlier in these states. Have one, sub-national state level REDD Plus, and please do include, biodiversity conservation, payment of ecosystem services, anything plus, which can be added to that. I will, come to your green credit later on, because it's really, so far it's really not a credit, but we'll come to that later. So if you can share your experience and as to what plans you have in future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Kishwan. First of all, I'd like to say a very good afternoon to everybody present here and to the eminent panel. And thanks to TERI that they have invited me to speak at on this important topic. I think it was pending for quite some time. And I'll take a step back, sir, because I think we all need to understand the strategy, the National REDD Plus strategy that has been adopted by the country. And it categorically talks about subnational approach for implementation, which could spread across multiple states within a given physiographic region. I think that's a very good strategy, but that has inherent challenges as well. I think we should attempt at this given point in time a state level approach, because that makes lives a little easier, not very easy, considering land ownership will still be an issue in this entire paradigm, because we are talking about the entire state, and there will be ownership with the private sector, with the there will be communal lands, ownership of lands with other government agencies other than forest departments. Now that brings another layer of complexity, which is the interdepartmental coordination, which I think Dr. Mohan Sharma also mentioned. We need to look beyond the forests. And I think that brings another layer of complexity in terms of interdepartmental coordination. Yeah, however, I think a lot has been said about incentives flowing to the community. And one major challenge has been financing and the incentives accruing to the community, which has remained ambiguous for the longest period of time. It is important that we focus on programs that can decouple the carbon rights and the tenure rights. And such programs have been able to raise financial benefits for REDD+ implementation globally, which, however, whether it trickles down to the community is a question. And if you look at, but this can happen because then it moves beyond ownership, land ownership, and if the carbon rights are held at a higher level of governance. Coming to this point on jurisdictional REDD+, which Varghese also raised, and I think we need to talk about it from the perspective of the state level in this country. It's already huge. For example, Maharashtra, it has 9 agroecological zones. The state of Maharashtra is so wide, and if you are looking at a REDD+ project, even that state itself will be a very challenging task, daunting task to do. One important element that we've realized, and I think TERI has been excellently working on that, is capacity enhancement, and that is primarily around carbon stock that you do very often. But I think we need to take a little step back and talk in a very simple layman's language about what it means. Forest is not just carbon, right? I think we need to move beyond carbon, and that has been the bone of contention for the longest period of time. When we talk about forest, we only talk about biomass stock and carbon stock. Why don't we talk about other ecosystem services? And people say that payment for ecosystem services, I think that's a different Pandora's box. It opens up a different box of questions, but we don't talk about forest from the perspective of ecosystem services. And I think the landscape approach becomes really interesting, because we're talking about a forest landscape which might have multiple other land uses and how they interact with each other. And so REDD+ is all about that, apart from talking about incentives going to the community, about methodologies. And I would like to reiterate one point which Anirudh in his presentation said, that India's forests have different characteristics. And I think we are unique in that context, considering the fact that more than 300 million people are dependent on it for its resource, for its livelihoods. I think we cannot compare ourselves with what the Latin Americans do or the Southeast Asian countries do, because deforestation is a major issue there, not so much degradation, but in our country, degradation, mosaic degradation is important. And I think that's where the problem lies, because when you are tasked with the effort of developing a REDD+ project, and there is no methodology, because you need to abide by a certain methodology if you want to get it registered, be it Vera, be it Gold Standard, or whichever standard. There wasn't any methodology until 2017, which was catering to the requirements of the country. Like we have different data sets, we have different conditions. How do we address that? So there was a time when states were trying to develop projects using methodologies which were based in either Southeast Asia or Latin America. And I think at that point in time, GIZ, under the, at that time, Dr. Rekha Pai was the IGF NAEB, and we proposed that it is time that we develop our own methodology, which is conducive to Indian data sets and conditions. And there is a methodology already available, which is called VM0037, and it is publicly available on the website of Vera, and that specifically addresses Indian conditions and data sets. And I think we were very hopeful that this methodology will be actively used. This methodology was also launched at COP in 2017. But sadly, we haven't heard any other, but TERI has been using it actively as of now. Having said all of this, I think it's time we move beyond carbon and we talk about other ecosystem services. And we are very, I also wanted to inform the audience here that we are beginning with a Indo-German bilateral cooperation project, which is called Restore, Conserve and Protect Forest and Tree Cover for NDC implementation in India, that looks at forest landscape restoration and piloting new models of forestry, including urban forestry and trees outside forest. And this will be a 6-year project. We've just embarked on the project implementation. It was launched by our Honorable Environment Minister on the sidelines of G20 on 27th of July 2023. And this project will be implemented in 3 states and another location, which is Maharashtra. Mr. Sailesh Temburnikar is leading it from the front. Then Gujarat, Uttarakhand, and the 4th region is Delhi and NCR. That's the National Capital Region, which will, and we are talking about landscapes. We are not talking about just forest areas, because I think it's extremely important that we start talking about ecosystem services which flows from the forest areas to other adjoining areas. And we are going to work on around 150,000 hectares spread across these 4 states, which will have elements of model implementation, devising frameworks and guidelines around monitoring, reporting, and evaluation of not just carbon, but other ecosystem services. There will be an element of leveraging finance from the public and private sector sources, and looking at policy mainstreaming for forest landscape restoration, because the German government and the Indian government on in May 2022 signed a joint declaration of intent on forest landscape restoration, and this project has been mentioned as the first point of coming together, of the 2 countries coming together and showcasing results. And the last component, of course, is human capacity development, knowledge management, and communication. This project is a large consortium project led by GIZ, but there are other extremely important organizations in this country, like TERI, IUCN India, FSI, ICFRE, and ECMODE. ECMODE, because of the fact that they are an international organization and can possibly host an exchange platform, and considering the fact that we will also be working in the state of Uttarakhand, which is a mountain state. I'll stop there, sir, for initial thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kundan. And again, as I was requesting, Paul, that when you are having this big project, which is coming between the 2 governments, government of Germany and the government of India, what you are doing is, I would say that extremely good. But what I'm saying is that why should we be losing some money, which is there, and I would say that it's not a very high hanging fruit also. Please keep that also into mind, and make that also an element of, you can have, any methodology, any, within that project area. But overall, you can always, get the, support of the Forest Survey of India, and let them also see as to what you are doing, how it is enhancing the forest carbon stocks also, so that whatever you are doing, that is also coming, but these will give some additional money also to the state, and this will percolate down to the local communities also, and all those who are helping in betterment of those forest areas. And I believe that it can always be, just added on to what you are doing. Nothing, you don't lose anything, but you'll gain, something more, a little bit more. Yeah, okay. Thank you. And Javi, now it's over to you. You take as much time as you want, and you have so much of experience. TERI has been working in the states, with these projects, but now TERI, I believe that it has taken upon itself that let us, now from undergraduation, let's go to the graduation level, move up from the project level to at least the subnational state level, and that is what TERI is intending to do. So, Javi, it's over to you, please.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, actually. First, before understanding REDD plus, we have to understand in the context of India that how India treats its forest. And the statement is given to the United Nations by the government of India that India's forests are primarily treated as a social and environmental resource, only secondarily as a commercial resource. So that we have to keep in our mind, and when we go with the concept and the definition, different definitions under the REDD plus, then Indian forestry sector is well suited to get the finance under the REDD plus mechanism. And I'm taking up another point is the 2.5 to 3 billion tons of the equivalent carbon dioxide. 2 times additional have been used. There are a lot more debate was there, but government of India has decided that whatever our business as usual, we will count that. And they have taken that decision. And again, it was not mentioned in the NDC communicated to the UNFCCC that baseline. So the government of India has decided the baseline. Baseline is 2005. And on the basis of the written order, I am mentioning this particular fact. And Forest Survey of India is the prime institution of the country, and they have projected the how much target we are going to achieve. India is going to achieve by 2030 is overachieving by 1.25 billion tons of the carbon credits or ton of carbon dioxide. So like you can say 1.25 billion credits, so that we have the potential to support financially to the forest dependent communities as well as the farmers who are growing trees outside forest under the agroforestry sector. So this is another aspect that project. Third point that I am firmly saying that REDD projects are very much possible under the project mode. We are implementing 8 projects in the country. Under, as Kundan has mentioned, Kundan was involved in the preparation of the VM 0037, and we have used, but unfortunately at this moment VM 0037 has become inactive, and jurisdictional approach methodology has been announced, and I was participating in the VERA webinar. They have requested us to participate, and I have requested Shalis to participate. We have participated, and we have requested and posed our question that soon you release the methodology for the degradation, because India has the degradation issue and degradation problem. As far as leakage aspect is concerned, if we have taken 8 projects under the tiger reserves. Tiger reserves are the 800 square kilometer, 600 square kilometer is a very much good area, and the leakage always be can be calculated. 100% perfection cannot be there. As far as the government of India is concerned, they have to take along this particular subject. Only then we will be able to take advantage and passing on advantage to the forest dependent communities and as well as farmers of this country. And the fourth point I want to take that we are finding difficulty under the ARR project and REDD plus project to show the different kind of the evidences. This is a requirement of the different standards, maybe Vera Gold Standard, Plan Vivo, etc. So the double counting. So if there is a one solution, it has 2 sides. plus side also, minus side also. Plus side is that very easily, if host country approval is there, then very easily we will the double counting issue will be resolved. But minus side is that in Government of India, again it will be given like NDM, just like CDM. So the same kind of responsibility we are giving to the climate change division, no additional staff, so that they will be having one meeting or maximum two meeting in a year, so that project will be suffering to get the and to obtain the host country approval, so that this is plus and this is minus, then keeping into the consideration plus and minus, then we have to take. Otherwise, it is a very easy, on the basis of our experience, how difficult it is for us to prove the double counting issue under the VERA and under the different standards, because third party evaluators, they do not have that kind of the forestry background, they do not have that kind of the other background. So we have to struggle because of their ignorance, and methodologies at the different standard level are generic and they are not country specific, and every country has a different specificity and different kind of the issues, so that interpretation is again a issue, and what we are interpreting, what FD forest dependent communities are interpreting, what farmers are interpreting, this is not an interpretation of the third party VVV or the standards. So that some of the methodologies not exactly the country specific, at least region specific methodologies are needed at the, and Lokesh is here, and Lokesh can note down the point that that kind of the variability could be minimized under the methodology, so that it will be easier. Otherwise, everybody is listening their carbon finance mechanism. Where is the carbon finance mechanism? Which farmer and which forest dependent communities are getting? We are implementing 28 projects. How difficult it is for the organization like TERI. We have a team of the GIS, team of the experts. More than 30 experts are working on these projects. But even though we are also finding difficulty, so these points could be taken up by the different standards. And if at all we like to pass on the carbon finance mechanism or benefits to the farmers and forest dependent communities. So my last point is the improved forest management. There is a methodology for the improved forest management. As far as divisions are concerned, we are managing forest on the basis of working plan. We are implementing working plan prescriptions out of there, so that we can explore very easily for the reserve forest, for the forest division, under the improved forest management. And again, I have gone through the methodology and discussed with my colleagues that if you reduce the rotation period from 40 years to the 30 period, then you are eligible for getting the carbon finance under that. So that again, I am coming to the prescription of the management, but there are lot more silviculture practices are there, fire protection is there, fire lines are there, so many prescriptions are there which we are implementing under the working management plan, so that somewhere representatives of the different standards are in India also, and they can take up these kind of the points to the standards, that working plan system is age-old system, more than 100 years old system in the country, so that can be taken up and can be studied, and the methodologies could be taken. So as far as in the last, I like to mention that project in project mode, carbon finance is possible, and we are in many projects under the afforestation reforestation, particularly on the very last stage where we are able to pass on the money to the farmers. And if I am not wrong, that Punjab project is about to issue. It is for the last 2 months, it is the VERA, after addressing all comments of VVV, after addressing all comments of the VERA, and VERA has also written to us that we have large number of the projects, so we are taking for the review. with time, so that maybe I am expecting that maybe first week or second week of the March will get issued the credit, so that once we start issuing the credits, then it will be easier. And while you are generating project with the farmers, the trust is very key and important. Uh, First of all, everybody asks us where the money have come, and how many farmers got the money, so that and I'm again giving the example of the CDM of Uttar Pradesh, 10 projects, 24,000 credits have been issued, and here it is a lack of knowledge and ignorance of the state forest department not to take. I have offered them $10 to $15 for the 24,000 credits, but some of the pieces of my junior, some of the pieces of my senior, I have written to the secretary forest, but they are not taking they are not active enough to provide the $240,000 to the communities, JFM communities, so that it is there. Even though we are implementing 6 projects again for the carbon finance under the agroforestry sector, so that as far as capacity building and taking interest of the forest officials is also very key and important. Forest officers will take interest when the Ministry of Environment and Forests will take interest, because whatever the guidelines and guidance will go from the central government to the state government, definitely state governments will be going to be more proactive and implementing those guidelines. So government of India level, right hand do not know the left hand, and left hand do not know the right hand. This is a situation, because I have worked in there, sir has worked in that, and until unless this is resolved, and I will request Salish, his batchmate is the Director General, so that he can motivate him to do so. This is a scenario, but I am optimistic, and I am positive that out of these all odds, definitely out of 28 projects, we will be able to pass on financial benefits to the farmers and the forest dependent community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, JV, and thank you for sharing the pain also, which you have. It happens. I mean, we should not take it otherwise, because those who are in the government know they have their own priorities, and when we sit outside the government, our priorities are at little variance with those people. So maybe we should not be faulting them, but should be sympathizing with them, that they are not able to do the good that we are expecting them to do. But let me also here warn all the colleagues, and because we are almost at the end of this, so I'll give the floor to the audience also for some. Yeah, I'll give you, but just let me tell you what no, not yet. I'm just telling you what the future is there for this, because you have heard of 6.4, 6.2, Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Now it's being debated very hotly, and the CDM came because REDD Plus was not there. CDM A and R, right? CDM A and R came much before the finalization of REDD Plus. It came in 2002, and REDD Plus was finalized in 2013, Warsaw Framework. So had REDD Plus come earlier, then you would not be having any CDM A and R. I'm telling you, that is what the reality is. Now the wheel has it has turned, almost taken the full round, and now it's being debated that 6.4, which is the mechanism for projects, it should not be having any forestry subject in it. And this REDD Plus, which is under Paris Agreement, Article 5.2, only those forestry credits should qualify as ITMOs under Article 6.2, after meeting all the requirements of Article 6.2. So I'm telling you as to where the projects are going to lead presently, which you have. But again, I say that there is no ill will for the projects, because ultimately whatever you do, no, at the state level and at the national level, they are adding to the forest carbon kitty. So you have something in mind that some organization is able to have the measurements at the state level, subnational level, and the other organization, which is the Forest Service of India, is able to have these measurements at the national level, so that the country is not kept, it loses the incentive which could come to the country by having its REDD plus units getting converted into 6.2 ITBOs, because forestry going into 6.4 is being opposed by the countries which are already having REDD plus, and these are more than 60 countries. So negotiations are still going on, and it's to and fro. Yeah.
Just one line.
Yes, and after him, it will be open to the floor, and can we have 4 from the floor? Yes.
Sir, just one line on that. Article 6.2 is still contemplating on inclusion of REDD plus, and this is deferred till the COP that happens this year. So 6.2 is also questioning this quite a bit as of now. If we see the negotiations, but you're right, 6.4 has said no to REDD plus, but 6.2, if it so happens, it will be very nice, because it talks about cooperative approaches between 2 countries. For example, Norway did that with Indonesia when they had come up with their NDCs, and they said that Indonesia said that if they will be able to meet 26% of their NDCs from within their own budgets, but they will be able to achieve 41% of their NDCs if support is made available. And Norway started supporting REDD plus initiatives in Indonesia. So I think the way REDD plus will feature in Article 6, it will be primarily in 6.2, where cooperative approaches will work.
Yeah, already just 30 seconds. Already the countries are working on those lines, and Suriname and another South American country, Honduras and Belize, they are already preparing the initial report under Article 6.2 for their REDD plus credits, and they are hopeful that they'll be able to get these REDD plus units converted into ITMOs under 6.2. Yeah, of course, 6.2 never closes, it will keep on continuing. And where from the friction comes, the friction comes from the voluntary market.
Exactly.
Right. So because they want everything outside the UNFCCC umbrella, and the voluntary market, whatever it is doing today also, you really cannot count that towards your NDC, because it's not verified by the UNFCCC. Their verification system is different. So with that, yes, Devendra Pandey, then Lokesh. गोखले तुम टेरी क्यों ना, तुमको मैं बाद में दूंगा, पहले वो पीछे से पूछ लेते हैं। आप पीछे से टेरी के तो नहीं हो ना? हाँ ठीक है, और आप भी टेरी के तो नहीं है? ठीक है, 4, एंड लेडी 5th, गोखले विल बी द 6th वन। जब भी आप बोलेंगे अपने को इंट्रोड्यूस कर देना, और उसके बाद अपना जो भी कमेंट वगैरह देना है, और अगर किसी इनमें से किसी अगर आपने पूछना है तो उसको भी एड्रेस कर देना कि माय क्वेरी इज डायरेक्टेड टुवर्ड्स दिस पैनलिस्ट। हाँ इधर आ जाओ, यहीं आ जाओ यार, लेकिन बाकियों को इस्तेमाल करना होगा ना, सब नहीं आ पाएंगे, लोग पीछे बैठे हैं।
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the opportunity. Friends, I have been with the Forest Survey of India, heading the organization for more than 7.5 years. Just to inform you, it was not just simple tenure, but it is a very long tenure. On 2 occasions, I headed the organization. I just wanted to make 2 points, 2 comments rather. I think there is a lot of confusion on the standardization of the methodology. The methodology already exists. IPCC guidelines, the whole world has to follow. It's nothing that we can change. If we change it, perhaps then we deviate from the whole principle, and the UNFCCC is not going to agree it. Then the second point in this is that, so far as the uh, capacity of the countries are concerned, I think that is a big challenge. I think that challenge also appears when you talk to the people that perhaps they do not know that these standards are there, the methodology is there. The challenge is also in the measurement, measuring both the activity data and also the carbon stock. Because carbon stock, what is to be measured is actually not very clear to many people, and that's why the gap occurs. But I think what Dr. Varghese has mentioned, and I would also like to reiterate that point, that now technology is available. We have mobile apps and GIS servers, web servers are available. Measuring the activity data is very easy. When you do the measurement, there are two kinds of uncertainties occur. One is the uncertainty in the area measurement. The other uncertainty is in the measurement of the carbon stock. But the uncertainty level in the area measurement is less. You can be very, very precise. Whereas the uncertainty measurement in the carbon stock is very high for so many reasons, because it is based on number of assumptions, and like you say, there are leakages, there are faults, there are incompleteness. So these are some points I thought let me present before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pandey. Yes, what you said is very correct, and many organizations have their own apps, which are based on FAO. What they had, that I'm forgetting the name. Now they are having their own land use apps, and they do it very accurately. And yeah, we have it. So we really have it. So that's why I'm saying that nobody has to look towards outside. No, we have to see within. We have got everything there. Lokesh? Yes.
Yeah. Hello. For those who do not know me, my name is Lokesh Dubey. I come from Gold Standard. I have some comments or some observations to make. The carbon market landscape is rapidly changing. It is not the same as it was 5 years ago, and it will change further. Recognizing that all standards which are operating in the voluntary carbon market have started revamping the requirements, the rules, and the guidelines. And more focus has been on agriculture, forestry, and other land use sectors. Gold standard is also in process of doing that. We have recognized that the country's specificities have to be captured within the methodologies and requirements. We are splitting our forestry activity, land use and forestry activity requirements into agriculture activity requirements and forestry activity requirements. Agriculture activity requirements were out for public consultation in December, and we are releasing the forestry activity requirements for public consultation very soon, maybe in March or April. Having said that, there are several methodologies which are also in pipeline in land use and forestry sector. In Gold Standard, we do not have REDD as a category for projects, but we are now expanding our scope to certain conservation activities that will cater to the plus part of REDD plus, but not going to REDD area. As of now, the mechanism of capturing the country specificities has been through the deviations that projects can see for particular project for particular duration. But now we are also trying to build that process into the requirements, that any project which tries to bring in country specific circumstances into quantification methodologies can do so by applying to the concerned VVD, and if VVD is able to validate that and certification body agrees with that, it can be included and can be taken up. but that process is still under evaluation and approval and will come very soon. One question that I might have from the standard side is that now we see several attacks from different angles happening on the standards. Maybe a particular standard is picked and questions are asked, but in general, stakeholders may not see from that angle. They would see as if voluntary carbon market is being attacked. That includes all the standards, including ours. So my question is, how as a country we see how we respond to this kind of the call for integrity as a country, because standards are doing their own bit, but as a country, are we ready to accept the robustness that will come as a response to this call for integrity and the implementability on ground as well?
Briefly, what you said, Lokesh, you can always pass on the mic. We can discuss it later also. But when you said about that you want to have countries to see what you should be doing, what the standard should be doing. Let me say that the countries, they are part of the UNFCCC, and they are really not wedded to any voluntary carbon market insofar as their national interest is concerned, because they have made commitments to not to the voluntary market but to the UNFCCC. So they will like to do whatever can count towards their NDC. And here the voluntary market does not help them much. So that is the problem which will always come. So any country, which is now aware, because previously they were not aware, so they were having these voluntary market projects. You were getting, good, I would say, revenue also from there. But now when the countries say that, no, first I have to meet my requirement and then I'll see what I can do. So that will create a little bit of problem, and I think that dialogue will still continue. But I'll discuss with you, because there are people, that.
Sir, my name is Anupam. I'm from Dalmia Cement, and my query is regarding the corresponding adjustment, because in Government of India's NDC, there is specific now target that has been taken on carbon stock. And from that perspective, whether it is REDD plus, though it is not in 6.4, but there are methodologies of CDM which are available in the market, which are available in the UNFCCC domain. And ultimately, there will be new methodologies also coming. So from that perspective, I'm thinking from the bias perspective, like international bias perspective, since there's a directly corresponding adjustment target and also target taken by Government of India. So would MOEFCC be taking that corresponding adjustment if there are, forest carbon credits and other carbon credits which are available? And what would be the stand of Government of India on that side? And specifically, this is important because as a private sector, there might be solutions, particularly cost-neutral solutions, which might be developed, where some kind of share might be taken by the private sector, some share might be taken for the selling, for the community development, for the community benefit. So these kind of solutions are possible, but ultimately that is only possible when there are higher prices achieved for the carbon credits, and that will happen only when corresponding adjustments have been done. Government of India has also released the technologies, 13 technologies, which might be possible going forward. But what about these forestry projects? I think that is one important point which we may need to clarify and get clarity from the government. Thank you, sir.
तुम बोलोगे उसमें? आप हाँ बता दीजिए, क्योंकि यहाँ पर गवर्नमेंट के हम हैं नहीं, लेकिन हम आपको बता सकते हैं कि इसमें क्या हो सकता है. जो कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग एडजस्टमेंट का जो है ना, ये आता है आर्टिकल 6 में, 6.2 में, है ना, कोऑपरेटिव अप्रोचेस में. उसमें क्या होता है कि इफ कंट्री A has an agreement with country B for a cooperative approach, and it passes on some of its credits to that country, then whatever it passes to that country, it has to subtract from its own NDC. So that is corresponding adjustment. So it is very simple in that way. Now you have to figure out where you come into that. And when I'm saying it could be between two parties, my take is that it could be between country and it could be, B could be even a private party also. But again, you have to see that whether your contribution is towards the country's NDC or you are taking out of the country's NDC. So the country will have to make the adjustment accordingly. Those who get it, they add. Those who lose it, they subtract. So that is the whole idea about the corresponding adjustment, so that there is no double counting. तुम कुछ बोलना चाहते थे इसमें? Please.
Actually, as far as NDC is concerned, I have mentioned that as per the technical series of the Forest Service of India, India is overachieving by 1.25, and 1.25 is a huge number, and we have not transacted this number even. So that overall, in nutshell, even other countries say something. So transaction can be done very easily in India. Of course, there is no regulation of the government of India at present. Now there is no regulation from outside. So this is a voluntary in project mode. Credits are being issued, and it is being transacted, and sale and purchase being done. And there is no regulation at present by the government of India, except Power Minister has mentioned once that export of credit will not be. That was only the news in the newspapers, but nothing else. No regulation, no rules, no guidelines. So everybody is free to sell under the voluntary market at present. Maybe rules are there after 6 months or 1 year or 2 years likewise. At present, there is no regulation.
I would like to respond. As rightly exposed to that, we cannot participate in the compliance market now. That is CDM market. That is outdated. Number one. Number two, you have to participate in voluntary carbon market, as Sharma Sahab has already told you. And Government of India doesn't have any guidelines or methodology or rules for that. However, I would like to draw your attention to the Carbon Credit Trading Scheme 2023 issued by Government of India under Energy Conservation Act 2001, 52 of 2001, right? So you can go through these rules, right? And then you can submit a project and realize it through the voluntary carbon market.
Actually, we are the players like that. We cannot submit offset projects to that.
Yeah.
At the same time, एक मिनट सुनिए, देखो हमारा टाइम जो है ना वो खत्म हो चुका है, और यहाँ से जो है ना ये पैनलिस्ट भी हमारे भागने वाले हैं सभी, तो वहाँ से पहले से एक
Yeah.
उनसे एक सवाल.
I'll keep my question very quick because I know we're out of time. I'm Vandana. I work with S&P Global. We do benchmark pricing for carbon credits. And this was a wonderful panel discussing the potential of REDD+. But my question is, because we do carbon pricing, we're seeing prices in the BCM have really crashed for REDD+. And globally, both buyers as well as other market participants have moved away from REDD+ towards high quality removals credits. So in this backdrop, how do you see, India's potential for REDD+?
That's why, madam, you say that voluntary market is not the answer. I think I'm and voluntary market is not the answer for any country. So you do whatever the compliance market says. That is the unit frequency. So if you have REDD+, which has been verified by the unit frequency verifiers, you'll certainly that is not rejected. Only REDD+ projects, which I say is a misnomer, because you really cannot have something which adds project after REDD+. REDD+ can never be a project. It can be only one project which is at the national level. So I really cannot help the voluntary market because they follow the different route, and so now they are having problems. But if you follow the REDD+ route of the unit frequency, this problem will not be.
Thank you for giving an opportunity. Sir, I have two queries only. So one is carbon race. In this carbon race, My humble request is should not use the degraded habitat improvement. See, whatever the degraded habitat, see, we need some proper definitions of the degraded habitat. See, wherever in Rajasthan, there the Indian buzzard is, I think we have critically endangered around 150 only is there. In that land, whatever the landscape is there, that land is highly sufficient for that particular species of survival in the particular landscape. So if our forest department or government of India, if we want to go for carbon trading or carbon race, if we are going to planting in that particular place, definitely we won't protect that species. So likewise, many places, habitat improvement or habitat improvement in the name of, they are doing many activities, even NABARD plantation activities going in across the state, all the state in our country. So wherever they last year or 2 year back they planted, again next year if fund comes, that also in March year and only they used to give for plantation cash. Again they started to, within the 2 to 3 years that the sampling will come out very good, or else maybe some of the plantations not initiated this one, maybe around 30 years or 40 years back, old plantations, teak plantations or rosewood plantations and saddlewood plantations are there. In that plantation now slowly emerge out for the local indigenous forest species, they are mingling with that plantations. In this place we don't want to do for again and again the plantations and other activities. So these are the forests we have to allow for, as such they are coming up with a good nature. So this is my humble request. While carrying, at least we need forget or else avoid overlapping of plantations in again and again, because we are ecologically we are giving more stress to the particular habitat and ecosystem. That's all.
You are right that carbon finance projects are not only for the tree plantation, that is for the conservation, for the grassland, for the wetlands. What kind of the habitat you have is being managed in the natural way. So that kind of the projects can be prepared. So that in a grassland you cannot do the plantation activity. Because grasslands are an important ecosystem.
Yes.
So wetlands are important ecosystem. So the plantation is one aspect of the forest conservation or the carbon sequestration. This is one aspect.
Even the grassland itself, they are
aspects.
providing a good carbon sequestration for us, sir. Not only in mangrove forest or else in the trees.
Yeah, your point is very well taken. But if you really go to the heart of the REDD+, it has got safeguards, and it says, don't do anything, which destroys the natural forest, which destroys the natural habitat. So if somebody is doing, planting in your this
forest
area,
yes.
So that is not REDD+. No, it is violating the safeguard information system, or the safeguards. So that is not done under REDD+.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So last are you and
sir, only quick 2 comments. One is that being a practicing ecologist, going back to the field, we lack serious information from the field, so that measuring and going away from stocks, density, and that is the reason we are not been able to move to the diversity level. So, and also the growth rates of various species. So there is a serious lack of information about forest dynamics that we are facing. That is point number 1. Point number 2 is that our social and governance systems of forest are not understood by a number of other standards, because we are different than many of the other nations, and that is the reason we should look towards ourselves inside, and states would be better competent enough to understand what is meant by growth, what is meant by restoration in a given region, and states need to generate more data, and they are much more capable, sovereign, to offer incentives of carbon credits to those who are ready to purchase. We should not over rely on voluntary markets or markets which are outside our country. Thanks.
Very good point. And yes, I support what you have said. Now, with the permission of all the panelists here and the audience who are still very patiently in this room, we are we have come to the end of this session. I'll just sum up in what we should be doing going ahead from here. So I believe that 2 recommendations. Jagmohan, you are there. Sorry, we are holding you for this time also. The 2 recommendations which I can think of, and of course JV and other TERI team, if you have captured other points, you can add on to that. I would say that the first recommendation which is coming to my mind, after listening to the panelists and also the, the comments and the observations coming from the audience, is that we should be recommending to the Government of India and the Ministry of MOEFCC, climate change, that they should go for the state level REDD plus implementation as an interim measure, and for that they should be approaching the UNFCCC, which is not difficult. And as has been pointed out by Dr. Jagmohan and other colleagues, Paul and others also, Shailesh, yourself and Kundan, and also it came from the audience, that the approach should be inclusive. It should not leave anything that we are only working for carbon estimation or carbon incentivization. It is not like that. It is incentivization for the biodiversity also. It is incentivization for all other ecosystem services which are flowing from there, and all other things which can be incentivized. They should be included in this inclusive approach of REDD plus implementation in India. And the recommendation is that we should be following this model, and REDD plus nowhere says that you can't do that. They say that you save biodiversity, you save everything, but please count the carbon also. So you get benefits in different ways. The second thing which has been which has come out of this discussion here, and the feedback from the audience, that capacity building is an issue, and which should be tackled in the I would say not only most efficient, but on a very most urgent basis also. And for that it is not only the Government of India and its different institutions, not only the state forest departments, not only the Forest Survey of India or the ICFRE or the IFM, but the institutions like TERI, like USAID, GIZ, and other organizations which have got experience of working in this field. They should come together. They should sit across the state governments and the state forest department, even in the ministry also. I do believe that they may not give us their ear, but when the agencies like USAID, GIC, who still are in constant touch with the ministry, when they start speaking, on our behalf, certainly our colleagues in the ministry, they will listen to them, and I hope the things will start moving. Capacity building should be taken as an inclusive, comprehensive, and all-encompassing approach by all the organizations which are concerned, government as well as non-government, civil society also, everybody. So that is the second recommendation which is coming out, and I think I'll stop here with these two recommendations. Thank all the panelists here, and also the panelist who has left because he has to catch his flight, and we did not want him to miss his flight for this. And the audience also, you have been very patient, and your thoughts and the observations were very useful for this panel discussion. And thanks lastly to the TERI also, that they always give me opportunity once in a while to meet all the colleagues and to meet the TERI colleagues also. Thank you very much, everybody.
Was there a compliment or a complaint?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for moderating this wonderful discussion. I would like to express a profound appreciation to all the speakers for sharing their expertise and insights and guiding us through this intricate facets of subnational REDD plus implementation in India. I would quickly announce in 2024, TERI has launched Solutions for Sustainable Development. It is a book highlighting a set of 60 solutions based on TERI's journey over the past 5 decades. It is an attempt by TERI to compile relevant knowledge which can be customized by a wide range of stakeholders to practice sustainable lifestyle. Now I would like to request Dr. J.V. Sharma to please facilitate all the speakers with a small token of appreciation from TERI.
It's not a small token, it seems quite big. And let me tell you, it's quite heavy also.
जगमोहन को और चंदन का कोरियर कर दीजिएगा।
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again. And we look forward for these future engagements to drive this
And please
positive
thank
change.
Dr. Jagmohan also, no? He's
Yes,
still-
sir. Thank you, sir, for joining and waiting online for so long with us. Thank you for your intricate thoughts on this topic. And we are and with the discussion, we can proceed to the patio for lunch. Everyone.
Thank you, Jagmohan. Thanks a lot. See you sometime there.